this will be the final story time about my thyroid cancer because I refuse to do another one. Even if more happens somehow, I don't care. This is the last one I'm going to do. There were like 4 or 5 of these.
You don't have thyroid anymore, so it'd be hard to do a follow-up.
No, but if something goes funky with my lymph nodes, you're not even going to know about it, audience. You probably will through like the internet, but not in one of these.
We could title it differently. Maybe like lymph nodes. There'll be a whole other medical.
Yeah, well maybe. I don't know. But I'm tired of it. I'm tired of everything related to it.
It's been going on a while.
It has. So, okay. Where we left off, I've had 2 surgeries. I knew I was going to need everything else. So, we finally called, you, Rob, finally called the endosurgeon to be like, hey, it's been over 6 weeks and we haven't heard from you or the endocrinologist. What's up? Because you said we'd hear from the endocrinologist in 6 weeks.
Yep.
And there were no referrals in the system. And his nurse needed to wait until he was out of surgery to ask what was even going on. Like, was he going to refer me to somebody? Like, what's going on? Man is excellent at surgery and horrendous at writing anything down. Which, honestly, that's a mood, but I sew plush and not people.
Yeah, that was the follow-up that really, because, like, when we were coming out of surgery, it's like, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then we had to, like, chase him down for 2 months and be like, have you done X yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's like, do you want me to do X? I'm like, I thought that you said you were doing it. It wasn't a matter of want.
Right, and throughout the whole thing, everyone's so confused as to why and how I don't already have an endocrinologist. And that's been my question from day one, but apparently it's because normal people have other shit go wrong before they notice they've got cancer.
Well, then we had your follow-up. They had your like, surgical follow-up, so you could just look at
Way
it.
late.
Way late.
I didn't even want the appointment, but I wound up with this post-op, so too long later appointment, and he was like...
8 or more weeks afterwards,
yeah.
Like, the wound's fully healed.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, well, if you still need an endocrinologist, there's so many you can choose from, and you were like, but your office said that you referred us to somebody.
We spoke to your office on Tuesday, and they said you had submitted the referral.
Right. And he's like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, she's great. Do you like her? We don't know. We haven't seen her yet. If we had, we wouldn't be here. Yeah. In your office. And he wasn't going to draw blood. He didn't draw blood because I was feeling fine, which every other doctor thought that was insane. Because I could feel fine and there could still be something wrong with my levels.
Yeah, you had been on the medication long enough they should have, like, checked your levels.
Yeah. And he just wasn't gonna.
We eventually got Carly to check your levels.
Yeah, our primary.
Yeah.
Because she was just like, oh, this still isn't happening. Oh, because when we did finally get the referral, which wasn't, she had checked. It wasn't until right after that post-op that he did finally do the referral.
Yeah, even though his office had said he submitted it earlier that week,
right.
They just lied to us. Because we can see the dates on things.
Right, in the patient portal. And then that endocrinologist's voicemail was full.
Yeah. No, a single office had a single voicemail box, and like during office hours they didn't pick up, and their voicemail box was full for 3 days straight. So we're like, I don't think that's the person we need to talk to. They seem impossible to get a hold of.
Yeah, and with that post-op appointment that again I didn't ask for, it's just we think that maybe his nurse just bullied him into it. But at one point
he owed us a post-op. The only saving grace is he did not charge us for the post-op. We didn't get a bill for that.
But at one point he very casually was like, he's pretty sure that I didn't have cancer in my lungs, that it hadn't spread to that. We were pretty sure. That hadn't even occurred to me.
Like, he mentioned it when we were like we were out of everything, and he's just like, well, I don't think it got to your lungs. It's like, why are you even mentioning that then?
Yeah, so then it was in my head. Like, why tell me that? Why put that in my brain? And meanwhile, so I'm obsessing over that, and I'm so worried because I just want to get the radiation done. I want to get everything done. And I'm so worried that my caught super early will become sadly too late.
Because still no one's treating it like a priority. Right. They're like, oh, you can do radiation whenever. It's like, well, what about now? How about now?
So this bitch forgot about me and then had the audacity to give me that half apology and act like I'm the one who wanted the appointment.
He started with at that appointment at the post-op when we had been bugging him for a referral for weeks.
Yeah.
He's just like, and he basically started out okay because like we were both just like, he better fucking apologize.
Something.
He better apologize.
Anything.
And then we sat down and he comes in and he goes, I'm sorry that you felt we didn't communicate well with you. And it's like you were so close.
I'm sorry that you felt that way. Yeah.
Sorry you felt that way. No, you told us you were doing things and then you didn't do them. This is not on us at all. This is you, bro.
Boy, that surgeon sure was a pain in the neck. Get it because your thyroid is in the neck.
Too soon.
It's in the neck. But you're right, that it's like every single doctor in my life has been like, this is nothing, so we're not going to remember what we were supposed to do. And why didn't you have that thing done that we said we'd do for you? It doesn't matter because this is nothing, but why don't you understand that this is serious? And why haven't you done all these things that we said that we would do for you? Like, every single...
You should have an endocrinologist. Well, we've been trying for 2 months to get one, and your referrals aren't going.
I keep getting lectured when they didn't do the referral they said they were going to do. Like, that's not fair. It's not like I'm just ignoring people. I'm the one being ignored throughout this process.
We have to chase people down to do the things they said they would do.
Yeah.
And then we will, why wasn't this done sooner? I don't know. This was kind of your job.
Yeah. So our primary not only does a referral herself to somebody else, does my blood work, gets me on different medication because the highest dose I was given, I didn't think I was having any weird effects, but when I laid down, my heart would get really fast.
You were a little more anxious than normal.
It's hard to tell because I was so furious at every doctor. It was hard to tell what was that.
If your dose is too low, you're tired,
right,
which you experience because you have chronic illnesses which make you tired.
All the time.
And if your dose is too high, it'll give you anxiety. And
I had cancer.
You already have anxiety.
And I still had cancer.
And
so, like, it was hard to tell if there was something wrong. Yeah. I was reliant on the blood work, which... Everyone kept saying, oh, well, you feel fine, so we don't need to do blood work. Except, thankfully, my primary doctor, who, like, gave a shit. So, like her, she's great. Oh, my God. She also, when she called the new endocrinologist, was like, hey, no, this needs to have a rush on it.
Yeah.
But I still didn't get an appointment until, like, way after that. Because I had the surgery in the summer, and then I didn't see this doctor until early November. Mm-hmm. Got me a new prescription. Great. Again, primary got me on a new prescription, not new endo.
Yep.
I was practically begging someone to just microwave me. I just wanted the radiation. I wanted to be microwaved. Like leftover chicken. I don't know, just microwave me. I have to mention, when we went to the radiology appointment, the Nuke Med, the Nuke Med one.
Yeah.
We did get super lost.
Mm-hmm.
Because... You're going to the basement, and there's nuclear medicine, which isn't the same as radiology or imaging or a bazillion other things.
Yeah, all the radiation stuff is in this. So there's like radiation imaging, nuke med, and nuke imaging.
Right. But we got there eventually, and the two guys answered all my questions. Though I did inject something into a stranger's head that they'll never be free of. Because
oh, the brain worm?
Yeah, I gave them one. Because... They said the first pill is very low dose of radiation, not enough to quarantine, just enough to show the scan where it's going. And I said, like a banana. And he was like, what? And we discussed that bananas are slightly radioactive.
Because of the potassium in them.
Right. And then I asked, when I'm in quarantine, and I have to, like, make sure that my sweat and everything is going away, and I either have to wash everything twice or whatever. I asked, how is it not making me sick to sleep on my own bed night after night while I'm in quarantine? If Rob can't sleep with me, like, why isn't it hurting me?
Not allowed to be around my husband or my dogs or kids. Why am I allowed to be around myself?
Pretty much. And I rationalized it out loud. I was like, oh, is it because the call is coming from inside the house? That didn't make sense. I'm sorry. I mean, like, is it because the radiation already knows me? Like, it's my radiation because we've been roommates already? And the doctor's like, actually, yes. Actually, yeah. That's correct. And you can tell he's, like, mentally making a note to describe it that way to somebody else because he's had this problem before trying to explain it to people.
Yeah.
Like, yes, because it's your radiation. It came from you. It already knows you. And I already knew a lot of what was going to go down anyway because, again, we've been waiting for it for a long time.
Yeah.
And so, I came pretty prepared. And my default when I'm terrified is to either cry a lot and be hard to understand, or become the funniest motherfucker you've ever met in your life.
You were very on. You were killing it throughout your entire cancer. You were slaying.
Thankfully, went door number 2 with that one. I was great. I was making people giggle, and doctors who are dealing with radiation and cancer, they deserve a giggle. Yeah. They're dealing with a lot of shit all the time.
You were a lovely ray of sunshine.
Not a radiation of sunshine. Just a regular.
Just a regular sunbeam, which is a radiation of its own.
That's true. I will say, this is a teaching hospital that we were going to.
Yep.
And then...
there were a lot of things that happened where it was just a student awkwardly in the corner.
Yeah, and this one student heard that it was already in my lymph nodes, and so he turns to the doctor and just really loudly, like, stage whisper, as though I wasn't right there, goes, yeah. Well, isn't that stage 4? And the doctor's like, nope, nope, this is thyroid. Didn't explain, like, why it's different, but just, nope, maybe in front of the patient, don't say she's at stage 4, because she's not, hold on.
Absolutely not. Thyroid cancer is different. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, once again, it's in your lymph nodes, but you can schedule this whenever, but schedule it as soon as possible. But if it gets pushed back by a few months, like if you have a CT scan or some other unrelated medical thing, that's fine too. But it can be pushed back by months, but it needs to get done as soon as possible because it is in your lymph node. It was that again. Mm-hmm. It was the back and forth. Yeah. And like, is this urgent or not? I feel like it is. It feels urgent.
I'm willing for it to be urgent. Just tell me it's urgent.
I'm totally okay with being urgent. Just call me back. Sometimes. Prescribe me things. Draw my blood. Yeah. Take my blood. So, we finally see the endocrinologist.
Yes.
He's very nice. He's very pleasant. He really likes that I'm Jewish because he grew up in a Jewish area, apparently. And he also loved that I'm an artist. And he has an appreciation for art. Cool. Take my blood. Take my blood, please. And he wasn't gonna at first. And then you mentioned that...
Well, luckily we had good notes, so we knew when you started the new medication, and it was past... Because he's like, well, you've been on the medication for so little. Well, wanted to even out. And I had my notebook, and I was just like, no, this has been like 6-7 weeks. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We should take your blood then.
Yeah. And I tried to impart on him that the prescription from our primary didn't have any refills because she's not the one who's supposed to be prescribing it.
Yes.
And I don't think that part got through. We'll get back to that later. There was so much. But he did say, like, Monday he would call, and we'd get the results. And if I needed a prescription, he'd let me know, and yada yada. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't hear from him. So, for the radiation, for the radioactive iodine, I had to be on that special diet, low iodine diet.
Yep. The boring diet. No cheese,
weeks.
No chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Vegetables, mostly okay.
Mostly.
Some meat, egg whites, no yolks.
Yeah, and there were, like, certain dyes I couldn't have and preservatives, and it was just, if I didn't have the means I had, it would have been really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And ours became slightly... There was a hitch, because we got all the food.
Oh, yes.
And
so your diet started Monday morning. So on Sunday, well, I typically don't go grocery shopping on Sunday, because the place is a madhouse.
Right.
But Sunday we went out and we stocked up on all the fruits and veggies that you would need. And we filled the fridge with all the stuff that you can eat.
And then first day of the diet.
Monday, the fridge died.
Mm-hmm. Like, super, super died.
I was making us lunch, and I noticed that the meat in the freezer was defrosting. And I kept checking it out, and the temperature just kept getting worse. And so that became...
Whoa.
Yeah.
So we did buy a new fridge, but it wasn't going to be delivered for like a week.
The next day we bought a new fridge, and my sister did deliver us a cooler full of ice.
And we also got a mini fridge for the meantime.
Yes.
And then figured we would just use it somewhere else in the house. So now we have a mini fridge.
We saved all the food we could, but we threw away pounds of food.
It was so sad.
It was like so 3 trash bags worth of food.
Yeah. It felt so wasteful, but there was nothing else we could do.
I cooked all the meat I could so it would keep better. And we just crammed the cooler and the mini fridge full.
Oh, so while the fridge was too warm, the rest of the house wound up too cold because then our furnace died.
On Thursday, the furnace died.
Yeah, same week.
And the first guy so I was home on Friday, and luckily it wasn't too cold of a November.
No. Luckily, global warming.
So, yeah. So we called the people we know that we dealt with for our furnace, and they came by and they just said, well, the furnace is dead. Like the heating element has busted open. There's no fixing that. It's time for a new furnace. And I went, all right, fine. They sent out a guy to give us an estimate, and he didn't even ask us questions about what we wanted or needed. He just pulled out a quote that was 5 figures.
And just note that our dogs liked the first guy, did not like the second guy.
Yep, they liked the mechanic, they did not like the salesman.
So they knew something.
We have a new policy where if our dogs don't like you, we're not buying anything from you.
Mm-hmm. And luckily, we had just met our new neighbors And our new neighbors had furnace issues. So I was like, hey.
On Halloween, we went over and met our new neighbors because they were also into Halloween. And Halloween, like, there's not a lot of people around here who are as into Halloween as us.
They were dressed as Inflatable Among Us.
Yeah. They had costumes on. And they were
waving.
They were projecting a horror movie onto the side of their house. It was lovely. So we went over and talked to them.
We had to talk to them. And I'm so glad. Because it turns out they're like our age. And they have dogs and not kids. And they're very similar humans.
Yeah.
In any case, so
they
I
had
asked.
just had furnace issues.
Yeah, exactly. So I asked, and I was like, "Hey, do you have a guy? Do you know a person?" Yeah. And the answer was yes. And so we called that person.
That guy, sight unseen, said, "Well, like, he quoted us 4 figures."
Yeah,
which
much
is
better.
Like half of what the other guy said. Mm-hmm. And plus, he like the other guy had been like, "Well, you also need this, this, and this done." And he made it sound like that was the law. And talking to the other guy, he's just like, no, that's a lie.
Yeah, he just straight up lied to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get other work done.
Yep.
So we're just like, okay, disregard that company forever. You're our guy. And I'll give them all the credit in the world. Because we talked to them Friday. We put our deposit down on Saturday. Sunday, their guys showed up and installed the furnace.
Yeah, the more expensive guy said it was going to be like a week.
Yeah, they were going to say this in like 2-3 weeks ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah. And our dogs liked the person who came to fix our furnace.
Yeah.
Replace it.
He wasn't even a dog person. But
no.
He was hesitant. He's just like, I don't know, to get along with dogs. And our dog's just like, no, you're cool.
Yeah, our dogs have decided you get along with them.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
One's gonna lick in your face.
My only minor complaints, I did not like the thermostat that they replaced ours with. Because it was just, it's one of those ones you have to remember to turn down at night. And I do not remember things. That's why I have pills for my brain.
But you replaced it, like, today.
Yeah. So. Well, the other thing I fixed today is because they had to take off the basement door to get the new furnace in, and when they put it back, it wasn't shutting fully.
Right.
I fixed that today, too.
So now the rightful order has been restored.
Yeah, everything's fine. And honestly, for the job they did and the time frame they did it and what I paid them for it, cool. I fixed those both in 10 minutes today. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, and so the endocrinologist that seems so much better than the other doctors never called me back.
Yep.
About blood work or a new prescription. So 2 weeks later, we called him on my birthday. Did I mention this all happened leading up to my birthday?
Yeah, you were on the diet, because the diet was like a month.
Yeah.
So it started, like, your diet started before your birthday and went through past Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So the endocrinologist didn't respond. So we called and we're like, hey, I did get a call back. And he was very confused. And I was like, well, I don't have any more pills. He panicked, realized that was a problem. Said, okay, you're going to be on the same thing you were already on. But he winds up prescribing the medication that the surgeon gave me back in the summer.
The higher dose.
Yeah. So we had to call again. And then it was the right prescription, but not covered by insurance. Because he made it so the pharmacy, like, couldn't give the generic. Even though he had said specifically generic. Now I have my medication. And that's awesome.
Third time's the charm.
Eventually it got there. But, okay, so the actual radiation, the actual radiating me part, they told me I was going to get an injection. The answer was actually 2 injections, 2 different days, both in my butt.
Yes.
In my butt.
And blood work.
Yes.
Butt work and blood work.
But the butt injections, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought, because, like, they didn't even need me to pull my pants down very far. It was, like, butt cleavage area. I needed one cheek and then the other cheek, so it was even.
Yeah.
And that guy was really nice, too. And obviously, like, I was never alone with any doctor, which was kind of nice. Throughout the whole process, they let you be with me, like, throughout it.
Emotional support husband.
Which was really nice, because I was hearing other people doing other kinds of radiation, other kinds of things, where they had to go in alone. And that just sounds like the loneliest, scariest thing. But this wasn't anything like that.
The one time I wasn't sure if I should have been in there, it was sometime where they were actually dosing you with radiation, and my choices were to stand behind the doctor in, like, the small area, or stand next to the lead box that said danger. And I was like, I don't know where to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, I got to hang out with you.
Well, because even the first pill that had the little bit of radioactive iodine was in a little lead box.
Yeah,
that they had to, like, unscrew. It was really, like, intense. And that first scan, where they were just seeing how much was in me, took an hour and a half.
And I got to read books to you.
And you did. Throughout the whole thing. And all doctors were like, oh, he's the sweetest in the world. You need to keep him.
I didn't want you to be bored.
Yeah. I was like, I'm keeping him. I'm keeping him forever. Oh, and then, after the scan, the doctor came in, and it was so good. I have never heard a doctor come in and just say, good news, before. But she did.
Especially now a doctor is about to put radiation in you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because throughout it, they're like, listen... Well, first they thought I could get away with just the 1/2, and it looked really small, whatever. And then it was actually the kind of cancer you have is kind of throughout the whole thing, speckled throughout. By the way, the kind of cancer you have, typically you get the radiation twice. You'll do this again a year later, because usually, like, we're going to have to give you...
They typically catch it a lot later, too.
Right, so they have to give you the max dose, and then that's not enough, and they know that, and you have to schedule and do the whole thing again next year.
Yeah.
But because mine was caught so early, thank you, chiropractor, the surgeon, as awful as he was at everything else, was a great surgeon, and he managed to cut out everything. So she came in, she was like, listen, you don't have any signs of cancer currently, and you don't really have much thyroid tissue left, so we're going to give you the lowest dose we can give of the radiation just to flush out the rest of thyroid cells.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't come back. And so that was nice, and that meant that my quarantine wasn't a week, it was just 48 hours, which was the minimum.
Yep.
It was still a really...
We confirmed the time frame of when we could, get back together.
And she was even like, because it's the minor dose, you don't have to be 6 feet apart, you only have to be 3 feet apart. So you could have Thanksgiving together, and I was like, but I still have to do the low iodine. Yeah, that sounds miserable. A low iodine Thanksgiving is not something I want in my life.
Yeah. I offered, I was like, I can figure out how to menu it, so it's like, and you're just like, no. Just wait and make it that weekend.
Well, because we also wanted to have Thanksgiving with your dad.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why map a miserable meal? Just wait and we'll do it all together. And we did, and it was nice. So, yeah. All of that was just... Oh, and the final dose. The final dose, though, was not in pill form. It was a liquid. It was a tasteless liquid. And, really just tastes like water. And the doctor held the straw for me. There was a little straw. And just kept saying, again, trying to get me to drink, all of it. And I was like, this is all I can do. There's nothing else.
He's doing the...
Yeah.
The bottom of the thing.
I'm not getting anything else
She's trying to tip it and, angle the straw to make sure you got it all.
But you can't really see into it because, again, it's sitting in a lead box. I have never felt like more of a secret government experiment in my life.
Just a little baby government experiment.
Yeah. 48 hours quarantine. I could hear you and the dogs downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so sad. And I took a lot of showers. And we got disposable everything, so I wouldn't have to, clean up anything after the fact.
Yeah, we just... Because it was, wash everything 4 times. And we're just like, why don't we just throw it away?
Yeah. Well, even going to the bathroom, I had to make sure that, my legs were closed while I was sitting in the toilet. And then also flush multiple times to make sure that my radiated pee was gone.
Yeah.
And it was just... And I got so paranoid. Every single thing I was like, well, what if I didn't clean well enough? What if I touched something for a really long time and sweat on it and didn't realize, and now Rob's gonna touch it? I was so scared. So paranoid.
And I was serving you meals on paper plates.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a little table set up by the stairs and a baby gate so dogs didn't come up. A couple doctors were like, oh, you can talk to your dogs still. You can have your dogs nearby because they're not going to live long enough. Their justification is we don't, as doctors, we don't care about dog lives. Your dogs won't live long enough. Yeah. But every doctor that had a dog was like, oh no, I would never go near my dog. Yeah. They're my baby. If it's bad for babies, it's bad for dogs. Yeah. Don't irradiate dogs, please. Because even if there was no chance it was, if anything happened to our dogs later, I would assume it was my fault. Mm-hmm. Let's not do that to my brain. Thank you. Yeah. So, it's all good. It's all done. I go into the follow-up, which is another scan. I was told this scan would be a short one, and not an hour and a half. They lied to me. It was slightly short. Not by a lot. And again, I think it was just because it is a teaching hospital. Again, there was a student. Yeah. And I had gotten a lot of, conflicting information. So, again, I was worried someone was going to go, okay, so come back next year. And all these scans, by the way, even though the radiologist had said that I would be wearing just, my underwear and a gown, that's not the kind of scan I was getting. I was actually, fully dressed in my jeans. Everyone really, for the radiation part, everyone really overstated what a hassle it would be, and then it was just, 2 butt shots, some blood work, and go home. I think it's because they're doing all the radiation for all different kinds, including different versions of thyroid cancer. And you just got the lowest dose of the... Yeah. Yeah, I got the easiest version of a lot of things. Not the easiest version of thyroid cancer, specifically. Yeah. I technically didn't. But because it was so early, there were a lot of factors that made it so I didn't have, I thought I got away with no complications, no side effects, until it turned out I rated it my tongue.
They hit you after quarantine. You started having, like, pangs in your tongue.
I was so confused because I didn't remember burning my tongue, let alone that badly. And then it would go away, and then it would come back.
Hard candies, like, helped it out.
Yeah.
Because during the radiation treatment, they suggested hard candies. They did not imply that you would need them afterwards, but...
No, well, because they said hard candy to protect my, my salivary glands.
Because that's also where the iodine is, yeah.
And I'm spitting just fine. Like, that didn't get affected. But my tongue had some problems. And it has since gone away. I'm fine now. But that was a very bizarre, minor side effect. And, again, the only one that I had. So, fine. I'll take it. Whatever. Yeah. It was a lot. Oh, so teaching hospital. This is why it took forever. Okay. So... So she wanted to show him how to use every part of the machine. And that's the reason I had an x-ray, even though, like, I totally didn't need an x-ray. And that was another part where you had to, like, walk away from me.
Yeah, can't be in there for the x-ray.
And I remember thinking, like, but I'm still in here.
I always had that thought as a child, when, like, the dentist would set you for an x-ray and everyone ran out of the room and you're just left laying there with the lead-on vest plate on. Yeah, you're just like, how is this safe if you're running out of the room?
And I get it's a matter of amount, but at the same time, like, I was just radioactive. Maybe I don't want any extra radiation right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a full body x-ray, and I got a lot of things that weren't really part of it, but and she even said, like, oh, we're probably going to throw out this last scan because we don't need it. It's like, okay. But she was showing him how to do it. And this poor kid, probably in his 20s, he was, like, asking permission to touch my neck, to put my head where it needed to be, and I'm just like, you're the medical professional, this is fine, it's okay. Because he was very sweet. And the machine, the second scan took place in, I'm sure it's because it's for, like, kids, but everything was jungle themed.
Yeah, they brought you to the kid room.
Yeah, and even the machine itself had this, like, goofy-ass fish drawn on, and I loved that fish so much. Every time I looked at the fish, it was like, yes, you are good. So I hope that sometimes make kids, like, chill out about it. Just have a nice little thing to look at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So second scan, everything looked good.
And you asked if someone could say that I was in remission, just, like, say the words to make me feel better.
Yeah.
And they said no. Not because I still have cancer, but because, how'd she phrase it? Like, thyroid cancer doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, because other cancers are like, they leave the organs in but just treat the cancer. They just fully removed everything you had. So it's like, it's not in remission, it's just gone.
But she wasn't saying that either. She was just like, well, we don't say remission. It's like, yeah. Okay.
But the words to describe it, like, they just weren't using, like, it's a doctor thing where doctors won't use exact language.
Yeah.
They need, like, legally they'll put in something for wiggle room, so they won't be like, you're cured.
Yeah, so I'm probably fine. And all the radiation where it was supposed to go.
One of the things where, like, we just go back for an ultrasound every, like, year or 2 years just to make sure that nothing's popping up that looks weird, and then we're good.
Yeah, on my neck every now and then, just to make sure my lymph nodes aren't, like, rebelling. And if somehow I did wind up with thyroid cancer specifically, somehow when other cells are in the area, I just do the exact same treatment again that I just did, which
just the radiation part, yeah.
Yeah.
Which now we know, it's fine. The diet's, like, less fun, but it's doable.
It's livable. There are worse things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably fine now. So, I lived! Rock on.
Rock on.